to this week's What the Heck. We have Woke-Ass Messiah and the Ghost of Bartok. Let's get to it. Oh, anyway, timing is off. It's fine. What's up, everybody? Turn that off. Sound with my normal voice. Yes. Can we hear you? No, because I muted you because I could hear my speakers through yours. Anyway, it's fine. You should be unmuted now.
Hey, that was cool as hell.
Oh, thanks. I was like, man, I got to do something Sunday servicey, so let's start with some organs and see what happens.
Yeah, totally. No, that was a great. I love the whole build. I love builds.
That's all I do is just a long build with no actual release. But I can infinitely build, so that people when they get home, or they can just listen to something that's good. Oh, hey, looks like Enthusiastic Electrons shot me a ping. You cool if he joins?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. Have not had Tim on the show in way too long. All right, Tim's going to join. Sick. So I don't have any agenda today. I've just been hanging out, playing some music, enjoying my Wednesday. Yeah, so you've been on Wednesdays jamming with the band, and you've been talking about it a bit before we started. Hey!
Howdy!
Who are you, and why are you here? Wednesdays jamming with the band. You've been talking about it a bit before we started. No, that's the actual question. Hey!
Wait, I'm getting double audio. Hold on, I need to mute.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I think it's coming from.
That was me. I had YouTube was unmuted, or sort of a delay thing going on.
Oh, and Bartok, full house. Here we go.
Nice.
Party time. All right, so we have Bartok, cable enthusiast, Enthusiastic Electrons, I don't know, inventor, video expert, Woke-Ass Messiah, who should be the host of this show, and the host of the Sunday service, which if you ever need some modular on Sunday, sick. Yeah, so
opening up a new.
What's up?
Sorry, a bottle of whiskey here. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm drinking with you, but barely. White Claw. I wish the flavored sparkly water tasted like this. It was just slightly more flavorful. Anyway, yeah. So I was just asking Woke, tell me about this group you've been playing with on Wednesdays. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been playing with these guys for years, and some of them for 20 years or more. But the Wednesday thing has been at least the last 10 or 15 years. It's been at my buddy's house, who is a drummer. He's got drums, all kinds of instruments set up, and a space. And now he's got a girlfriend, and she moved in, and the jam space is now the bedroom.
Oh no!
So we were out in the yard for a while, set up in the yard for the summer, and now that winter is upon us, a friend of mine did a little renovation, so he's got a space, and we moved all our shit over. It's normally drums, bass, guitar, a couple of saxophones. There's an upright piano in there, and a cheap ass little keyboard.
That's pretty cool.
And I brought my every once in a while I'll bring the case, this case, travel case, and use it just sort of as an effects box. And right before we went live, Heck was instructing me on the wisdom of learning how to solder my own contact mics.
Yes, yeah, I have many of these. This one's kind of busted, but I have many of these lying around. Little contact piezo microphone.
Yep.
Very inexpensive.
Where's that word come from? Piezo. Cool word.
Pizza?
Piezo electric. It's short for piezo electric.
It's
I don't know.
Microphone.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably the name of the company that invented them. I don't know. This was one I was gonna email to CK Sample, but I already broke it, so I have to make another one. Did I say email? I want to physically mail it via
Email
a
this
box.
way.
Once I fix it or make a new one. But yeah, I have a bunch of those around, taped to random things, and I think they're just awesome. There's like that one field kit that comes with a bunch, but I think it's trivial to make and order them. So if you're looking for a soldering project, that's like
Yeah, that's what I'm
as
looking for.
easy as it gets.
I am looking for an easy first soldering project.
Like you don't have to worry about polarity. Like it's just soldering to two things and you're done.
Right. And they're so cheap that you can buy like a bunch for $5. So if you
Yeah.
mess one up, it's nothing.
Right.
Something I've been interested in doing. I've got I have a couple of big ones that are inside a toy piano.
Yes.
So this toy piano, what I really wanted to do was actually put actual pickups, coil pickups on all the tines, but that would have been really complicated. So basically, I just taped two mics on and then just had them soldered onto two 1/4-inch jacks in the back. So the one's at the high, one's in the low, and usually I only use one, but it actually does have stereo if you know a little bit.
Oh, that's so cool.
I just separated the field. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But here's what I want to do, and I haven't done yet because they work like anything else, like any coil, where it works as a mic, or if you put electricity into it, it works as a speaker or a buzzer. You know, that's like the standard buzzer sound is just a mic.
Yeah, like all those holiday cards. These are what are inside.
Yeah, and it's like terrible quality audio, like a microphone. But since I've got it taped to the soundboard on this toy piano, which is also meant to resonate all these tines that are tuned to tines, I want to crank it and like use one as the mic, and then the other one is one to play back and one to pick up, and so basically process it through the through the toy piano, and it'll sound terrible. And you might have all the the harmonic the frequencies of all the tines resonating. Probably the first one won't get loud enough to actually do anything, but maybe.
It's pretty wild. Like I've seen a couple of videos where folks have used like a full-size piano to that exact effect, including like backing up another piano to it and miking up the second piano, so you just get the reverb. It'll sound so cool. I definitely do that. I want a toy piano so bad, like a one with like physical tines.
Who was it? There's some is it Kawai? There's some actual piano maker that makes a tiny piano that seems like it's toy piano size, but it's actually an instrument. Yes. I just discovered that on YouTube the other day, so I don't know.
There's a few of them. There's the Korg one that I like a lot too, just for the it's a beautiful little toy piano, but I believe the Korg is digital, which is slightly not what I want because it's I don't know. I want to really like mess it up pretty good to get some good sounds. Yeah, that's cool. I can't wait to see what you do with that. Like that's a reverb box right there.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Toy piano reverb. Looks like a guitar pedal coming out.
Exactly. So, Woke, I'm actually wondering how many. So you've got your travel case, and then you've got the other. How many cases? Is it just sort of the two cases we see there primarily, or?
This is the first one that I bought. Yeah, right there. Okay, so this is the first one I bought. It's 12U, and it's just populated with what do you call it? The happy ending kits.
Yeah.
And so it was originally that was all full up, but I decided to start using this part as a shelf. I bolted I don't know if you can see it. I bolted a patch bay to the top of it. And then I've got the 6U case here, and then there's a little is the very first case that I ever built, actually, when I just had one happy ending kit, just a plain wooden box.
I think I remember that like a while back when you started doing some garden.
Yep. Yeah, I would bring just that one out. That was last year when I was out in the backyard doing some stuff, and I recorded stuff that I made into the Dog Days album that I put out last year. And that was pretty much just this little case with a little rotating selection of modules in it and iPad.
Nice.
That's awesome. Have y'all used like an iPad or anything digital recently? Actually, Tim, I know you have with your enthusiastic sequencer.
Yeah.
But what about you, Bartok? Nope.
Nope.
I've been like toying with the idea of breaking that out again because I sort of have a place for it. Like I think I'm actually gonna ditch my keyboard here and use the.
I really like the Moog apps.
Yes.
I mostly use the Animoog.
Yes, that is the best one,
It's just
hands
got that
down.
yeah. I mean, it's touch interface, it's slider. I mean, it's just so freaking cool. It quantizes. I mean,
I've had that for a long time, and I've never really gotten like spent much time with it. But I hear good things.
It's like weird to design your own patches on. Like the
Yeah.
interface is super janky, but like the presets are sick.
The presets are sick. It took me a long time to even get beyond those because they were just so cool. You could just mess with them forever.
Yep.
But then when you start designing your own and start looking, like actually reading the manual, it's actually pretty neat.
There's one. I haven't really gotten into too many iPad music apps, but there's one that it seems great, and I'd like to spend more time with it. It's a granular synth, and the way it's an amazing. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's an amazing use of the touch screen because what you do is you record or you bring in, a sample, and it shows up as a waveform, and then you can stretch it or stretch it this way, and then you can move it around, and there are like different points, and you put down different points, and you can make how big the point is of the cloud, and so basically you move the snippet in and out of the areas that are being played back, and it's just such a sort of tactile way. It's like it's something that makes the digital more tactile than a physical controller, and it seems really cool. I just haven't spent a lot of time with it, but it's pretty awesome.
Let me know, like drop the link in sometime and like ping us on it because like I definitely want to check that out. Like I am addicted to purchasing and then never using music iPad apps. Like I've tried a shit ton of them, and there's like 2 or 3 different kinds, right? There's like what you just described in the Animoog that are sort of designed for a touch interface, and then there's the ones that are like trying to mimic physical stuff, and those never work.
You got to keep an eye on the Moog. I mean, if you don't already have them, if you just keep an eye on their promotions, seems like they offer them all for free for a couple of days every year, like around like Bob's birthday or something.
Yeah, they have many sales.
I think I grabbed one that way. Borderlands is the name of the app I was talking about. Borderlands Granular.
Okay.
And it's like $15. It's by Chris Carlson, and it is pretty awesome.
That name sounds familiar.
I'll be getting that probably later. I also like some of the ones that have interesting sort of sequencing capabilities. Like there's a whole bunch of them, but I play with them. There's a cool glitchy drum one that might actually make it into my sets. That it's like the most basic. Like you can generate drum sounds basically with like visual noise. So it's super glitch friendly. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, so that's. I mean, I hardly ever touch that stuff though in terms of compared to like this other gear.
I go through phases,
Yeah.
I'll bust it out for a while. I haven't busted out my tape decks in a while. The 4-tracks. I think I might do that again soon.
Ooh, tape tech could be fun. I should bring that back in here as a sample. But yeah, I also like the Arturia collection for like when I actually do hook my computer up. I have a keyboard like way back hidden in the corner that I'll like crawl behind the heater and play that to myself. But I don't know. I don't know. I
had a tape deck. I was really excited. My father-in-law gave me his old hi-fi tape deck. It was I forget what brand, but it was like the high end from the 80s or late. I guess it was probably the 80s, maybe late 70s. But he I was very excited, but I didn't really have any tapes to play on it. And then I got Antone's cassettes when they came out recently.
Yeah.
Put it in, and the motor is set to fast forward. So you hit play, and it plays at fast forward speeds. So. But just today, I got a piece of junk little cassette player. It's for my daughter to record radio shows on. So it sounds terrible, and it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. So.
That's great. That's what I have.
Yeah.
This is the latest tape I got. This is this album that came out a couple of years ago. Can you even see that?
Not at all.
No.
Here, let me make it bigger. Maybe it'll be slightly easier to see.
Whoa. Can you even see it? You can't even see it. It's too shiny.
Yeah.
There's your player.
Well, we can
see what's happening. Purple
mountains.
Mountains, yeah.
Yeah, purple mountains.
Purple mountains, purple mountains, purple mountains.
It's like a reverse echo. Purple mountains, purple mountains.
Yeah.
Like.
That was funny. Yeah, it's like so.
Overdrive feedback.
Yeah. That's cool. I sold all of my like sort of like VHS and tape stuff and all of my stuff like a year before I got into building synths and stuff. Straight up, like I regret that. So I ended up buying a cassette player, like a used one, because I planned to do things to it, tape delay, that kind of stuff.
Plan to do things.
Like I'm not gonna buy like a new one for that, but it's like the biggest piece of crap, but it works. And I got it because DEF CON was coming. DEF CON was virtual last year, and they sent everybody like if you bought a badge, it was like an actual cassette tape.
Oh wow!
And the interesting thing is they often have like sort of cryptography puzzles and things like that. And in this case, it started with the cassette tape. So somebody had recorded some oscilloscope music on, and I recognized the sound immediately. And I was like, oh, okay, so I gotta like pipe this into my oscilloscope and like see what it sounds like. So it's pretty cool.
Nice.
I'm looking up right now. A guy I know in Oakland. It's called Dogbotic Studio, Dogbotic Lab. He started doing about a year ago. He started doing workshops, online workshops, and it's like intro to electronics. It's like making weird circuit sounds, for people who have never really dealt with electronics before. But it's basically making it hands-on, and it's just some basic stuff. And he partnered up with someone who does really awesome graphics. But he's got a workshop. I'm just seeing if there are any more coming up. He's done several, and it went really well. And he's going to do more, which is a cassette hacking workshop. Ooh. And so you get a box which has a couple tape players that you can destroy, and some tapes and various things. And so it's like a weekend long thing where you learn to mess with the speed. Basically, like you can control the the playback speed with potentiometer, that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm 100% doing this.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
here. They've got some more.
Send us some links to that.
Yeah, let me drop that in the chat. Well, I'm just gonna drop in the
March. Okay. So yeah, January 2022, and March 2022. He's got some of these tape workshops.
Yeah, it's dogbotic.com for those of you who aren't reading the chat.
And Kirk, who's the guy, is the person, is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I 100% will be looking into that. That sounds like fun. And it'll get me. If I make it that long without working on the cassette player, it'll force me to get to it. Yeah.
So speaking of controllers, I'm actually working on a couple things right here, because I realized this was the first thing I kind of ever bought. Basic key step. I was at home at my dad's house before, like it was the same month that I discovered that Eurorack existed. And until that point, I thought that I knew of like the Moogs of the 70s, but I didn't know that it was a thing now that you could actually have and make. But I have a really cool MIDI keyboard, but it was totally busted because I used to travel around. It was a Rode, like a stage MIDI keyboard that I use for visuals, and I actually have never made a sound with it. It's just purely for triggering visuals. But it had a couple useful outputs. Like it had a screen on it. I had forgotten about this, but it had a screen which gave you all the MIDI data. And at that point, I was learning how to program MIDI. And then so this, the Arturia, I learned. I was like, oh, it's got all the MIDI information, plus it has CV, which seems really awesome. So I got that, and then I thought, oh, I need something to play with it. So got a Behringer Model D, and then the No Coast, and then an SQ1, and promptly abandoned the key step and have pretty much never touched it. But it seems really cool, and so I really want to incorporate it more because it seems like if nothing else, a really good way to just quickly transpose. I know there's been a lot of talk about transposing your different sequences, and I love my adder, but then it takes it's like I don't need a whole other sequencer necessarily to transpose, but it'd be nice to be able to just go there. And this way, it seems like you patch it up and not have to plan it in advance. But you can just, at some point say, okay, I want to go there. So, so actually, hold on for just 1 second here. Got this piece of wood. I'm basically trying to use up all the scrap wood. Piece of wood I'm about to put. It was a shelf, and it's no longer a shelf. So a couple feet here and here, so that it can just be a shelf on top of this keyboard, and then sequencer.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah.
And then I also I'm going to finish this tonight or tomorrow morning. Is my new case.
Ooh.
Whoa.
This is the scrap wood case. I had some nice scrap
this
wood
case.
Around. This is all this used to be a shelf, and this is like an offcut from my my controller. I had enough mahogany for 2 ends.
Yeah.
So basically, I destroyed my old skiff, which I had just built, and I bought a second row. So I've got 2 of these now. This is 126 HP. So this is, and then this is Joe from NIMS. This is his bus board. I bought a couple from him, just a passive bus board. So basically it's going to be 2 rows now, 126 HP. And then over here is where these go, because these are, an integral part of my whole setup.
Yeah, and all their jacks are on top, so they just fit nicely. That's great.
Yeah, so it's the right height, So
That's
nice.
really
might put some Velcro on the bottom,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So then, anyway, this is now just big enough to hold all of my modules in one place, and so I can free up the pod. So that will go instead of this board here, as the case will just sit right there. So
Okay.
that's show and tell, the new case that I've been working on for a while, or talking about for a while. And
what are you doing with the power supply itself? Are you going?
It's just a row power. I'm gonna use.
Okay.
Yeah. I got the beefy one, the 45, so it should be. It's plenty.
Sure.
Yeah, very nice.
Yep.
That's cool. That's inspiring, because I've been avoiding building one.
Yeah,
if I build one, my wallet will just empty.
Yeah, and this one, I had all the parts. All I had to buy was the second row of rails, the second set of rails. Everything else is just the rails I already had. So I mean, it's not that it cost nothing, but I didn't spend anything new on it. The wood was all just wood I had. And last time I built something, anytime I've built things out of wood before, I've always thought I was I'm too good for brackets, but I've decided I am not too good for brackets, and it turned out much better. Now it's just get some corner brackets, hardware. It's square. Last time it was not so good.
I'm going the other route. I'm too good for splinters. I don't need splinters anymore.
Right.
Every time I touch my synthesizer, it hurts.
Yeah.
It looks really nice on camera, but this is shed wood that had been sitting outside for a while, and it's plywood, and it's not sanded at all.
But that's cool too. I feel if you go all the way in that other direction, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I do have plans to build one. So that's why I was asking that question. Maybe I should try row power first before building a power supply that could kill me.
Yeah. I figured I wanted to get. There were a couple others that I wanted to get. I wanted the IntelliGel power supply. Because then it's a powered bus board. I also wanted the Escatonic modular. Seemed pretty good. But those are both sort of in case supplies, and those that were just out of stock for months and months and months. And finally, the Row Power 45 just came out, and I thought that's plenty of power. And it seemed weird to me. I was like, how can something this tiny have the same sort of smoothness and everything as the larger PSU, but it seems like from all reports it seems just as good, for a modest sized case, and I've had no problems. Like that's what I was running on the other on the skiff, and it seems good. So and that way that way I can just pop it into something else. So the other day I had it in the little lunch box. It's easy to just move around.
Cool. That's cool. That's smart.
Ah.
I will be building mine though. I already have, I think, almost all the components. I just need inspiration. Yeah, I'm gonna do some Meanwhile, whatever 65B or whatever the number is. Power supplies, and
that sounds right.
Be nice and noisy like my other synthesizer. Hey, we have Schmooster. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Yeah. Let's see. One thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is like an ideal space. Like I am thinking about eventually like moving out of from under the water pipes, and away from the water heater. That like every time I play any decently sized streaming show, there's always one person who's like, "Oh my God, you're playing next to a water heater. I've had that explode," and it just goes. I'm just like, "Don't tell me this ever." So I've been thinking about like what would be a nice studio space, like what would I prefer, like what kind of space, what size, that kind of thing. I have no money to build it, so it's pretty much like maybe I retrofit a shed or something. But like, like what's your ideal studio? Like it looks like all of you have cool studios from this camera angle. Well, I shouldn't rephrase, Bartok. I know yours isn't cool because we heard the fan on all summer, but
I am in a corner in my room, so I've been allowed a little corner.
Yeah.
I used to be out in the living room. I was out in the living room for like a year and a half, and then finally I talked my wife into abandoning this room because she wasn't really using it for much. We were just kind of using it as storage. So I was like, I'll move all my records in there. So
maybe that's how I should approach it, because like we have 2 unused rooms.
And we have there's a.
But what if guests come over? We're in a pandemic forever. So.
Exactly. There's a we got this Murphy cabinet bed kind of thing. It's a full bed in a cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a double one of those, a bunk
and you can
Murphy
pull
cabinet
it out,
bed.
and I made sure it comes out to like here.
See, that's the room I'm trying to swing, is the one with the bunk Murphy bed.
Sweet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like a train?
Is it what?
Like a train, like a sleeper car on a train with a double Murphy bed?
Well, no, it looks like a really nice piece of woodwork armoire or something, like
folds down or something.
Yeah, so it's just a big flat panel. Like, in fact, when we were like looking at the house, we were like, "How do I open this cabinet?" Because it's like super. If a Murphy bed was designed by the artists behind Scooby-Doo, this is what it would look like. Like, it looks like a big piece of wood that you like. Find some paneling on it and you pull up on those 2 pieces, and then the top piece can come down and just like hangs there in the air like a freak of nature, and then the bottom one does the same thing. But yeah, it's very covert.
I think you should turn that into your case.
Do you know what? That's where every time I see it, I think of like a bunk bed case, because like just lying on the bottom bunk looking up, I'm like, this is perfect for like patching as long as your cables aren't too long. And like you have twice as much space, because like if you want to like use up the whole space, you can just like turn around in the bottom of the bed, like do the other bits, Anyway,
nice.
It's a dream of mine that will never be fulfilled. It's far too expensive.
I had an idea when I lived in New York, and I had a room that was slightly larger than the bed, but not much. But it was a tall ceiling. What I wanted to do is not have a Murphy bed, because I had a tiny little office, like a tiny little desk, but I wanted more space. So I thought instead of the Murphy bed, so like you have the office area and then the bed would come down, I wanted a Murphy office. So, basically it would be the bed, but it has sort of posts, and then the wall, you just like pull that down, and there was enough height so that like the floor then could be above the mattress by a couple inches, and you just go up a couple steps, and then there's still enough height. So you still have like 8-foot ceiling. I don't know, it's probably like a 10-foot ceiling or something like that. So
on the other side, you have a Murphy kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have seen YouTube videos of places in, Japanese apartments that are like that, where it's just like super efficient and small.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did not do that.
I didn't have a Murphy thing in college, but I did like want more space. So what I ended up doing was very sketchy, and I put like a whole bed up in the air on like posts, sort of like a bunk bed without the bottom bunk, and then I put my desk under there. So then
college architecture, I love it.
Yeah. Very wobbly, very sketchy. Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, when you're young, you heal easily.
Yeah.
Right.
It was also like not at a good height, because I was like, oh, I'm not that tall. It doesn't matter if I'm like 3 inches from the ceiling. But like when you wake up in the middle of the night, you don't really have a lot of control of like how fast you sit forward. So I hit the ceiling a lot. So that's bunk beds.
Well, I was going to show if you're talking about spaces, though. This is sort of the work in progress. It's just a double-eared keyboard stand, and that's sort of, I'm trying to like aiming at having things sort of keyboard stand sized and shaped. But up here this is actually an IKEA picture frame that the top keyboard is on. So that's mounted to the wall, and it's just a little picture frame. And so the Yamaha is just sitting on that, and then there's room for a pedal or two. I could also remove the keyboard if I wanted to have more pedals up there. But that's just sort of like a way to keep that out of the way, because this Yamaha CP, I absolutely love it. It's it's probably one of the best synth purchases. It just sounds great for the sounds that it's replicating, and since it has all the built-in effects, it's really nice because that I can do everything there and then put that into the mixer, and it doesn't take up any processing power anywhere else.
Nice.
But it's up here because I want access to the knobs, but I'm actually playing it with this now. So I've got, because it's MIDI, so I just MIDI out of this into that. So it's like the nice big keys, but the good sounds.
I mean, that's the dream, right? Like like if there's an option, I get the desktop version, like the Korg XD. Like for this, like I have a set of keys I can use everything on. Like I don't need stuff with keys on them. In fact, I'm thinking of retiring, at least temporarily, just to see if I like it, retiring the key step, because I figured out how to essentially like detach the Microfreaks keep, like not physically, but like detach the Microfreaks keyboard from it, so that it can go out and play any source and then back into it if I set it. So like I can send it into my pyramid and to decide where that keyboard, what device the keyboard is controlling, including the Microfreak. So I think that would be really nice, because I really do like the touch functionality of it. Like a little harder on the fingers, but I'm not like a great pianist anyway. So I think I'm just trying to think of efficiency. Like I only need one keyboard. I probably won't mod my Korg to remove its keyboard, even though it almost never gets touched, just because it's old. I don't want to do that. It wouldn't look pretty. Like it's one thing if I buy something that's readily available, but and mod it. But yeah. But nice. In this space is like the previous owners had moved all of their kitchen cabinets and stuff down here into the washroom after they remodeled the kitchen, which was, I think, a smart move. Like it's really good storage, so they just like they're not attached to the walls or anything except for this bit here. But I just made the best of it. Like it's not, and like this, I guess this thing here is just like I had some scrap wood and some hinges, and I made like this janky shelf to put this stuff on, because why not? Like I just need, like Tim said, I just need access to the knobs, and I'm out of space completely. Yeah.
I haven't had a keyboard synth in. I mean, I had a Korg in high school. In high school and college, that was, I had a early '90s era Korg, so I could do like orchestra hits, dun dun dun. It was a good, but it had really good organ sounds, and so that's mainly what I was playing at the time. and so that was my keyboard. Then I got rid of it more recently. But anyway, I haven't had a keyboard synth since then until this Yamaha here, which I still feel like it's like I love how it sounds, but it still is a little mysterious. It's still like sort of black box in terms of the sounds. So I don't really think of it as like a keyboard synth. But I think since getting into Eurorack, I've really embraced the non-keyboardness of it because I've spent so much time with keyboards that I really am. I love the randomness and the discovery of just plugging CV into other things and seeing what happens. But I think that I'm at some point coming up on, it'd be nice to have starting to eye the grandmother. Like I was in the store the other day. I didn't think I necessarily wanted one, but then I was playing a bunch of different, just messing around with different things, a perfect circuit, and immediately had a great time with the grandmother. It was just, it sounded so awesome. So this is a fun, so it's now maybe in the back of my head as like a one day that would be, or something else. But
I mean, I'm with you there. Like that's like a dream synth of mine that I went to get. I finally went like post vaccination and all that stuff. I was like, I'm going to a Guitar Center. Of course, they're like going bankrupt or something. So like, the Guitar Center I went to was like, they had like one Yamaha piano or something, and I was like, well, this sucks. I'm like, but like that's one I've been like eyeing. I really want to like play with it to see like if the filter and I get along. I think I would based on what I've heard, but it feels like a modern semi-modular that I would just fall in love with. So yeah, I'm feeling that synth. Colored version, of course. The black's cool, but like I like the colored. What about you, Bartok?
What about me? What? What was the question?
I think we're talking about office or ideal like studio setups, but now we're talking about keyboard synths.
Do you approve of keyboard synths?
Yeah, I've never had a keyboard synth. I do have the key step, the controller. But I was going to say that I did play with the grandmother. It's really cool, but I think if you've got the key step, you can patch something up very similar.
Yeah.
And then you can make your own grandmother.
I think that's the problem with modular is I keep talking myself or patching myself out of synths and
grandmother
things.
A polysynth?
What was that?
Is grandmother a polysynth?
No, that's the matriarch.
Okay.
You're thinking of. Grandmother is the monosynth. I get like MS-10, MS-20 vibes from it, but with like a different filter and feel. And that, I think it's got a spring echo. It's pretty cool. Or spring reverb. But what was I going to say? Like the Moog Drummer from Another Mother was one I've been lusting over for a long time, and then I built this sequencer, and I was like, well, I guess I have all this stuff. I can just like turn that into a Drummer from Another Mother, and I did that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I don't need that anymore. So, R.I.P. that dream for now. I mean, I still will probably get one down the road, but for now, I'm like satisfied that I can accomplish similar things.
Yeah. Studio equipment, though, if we want, I'm looking for, so if anybody has recommendations, like a nice, comfortable little chair. I was thinking maybe like a drummer's stool, because it's small enough for the space that I have. So if anybody has a recommendation on that, I'd love to hear some.
I'm kind of lusting after this like little Weeble Wobble chair. It's like such a weird thing. It's like a bar stool, but its base is just this like heavy round thing, and so you can sit on it, and you sort of like you got like 3 points of cut because you got your ass and your 2 feet,
right?
So it's like a nice tripod.
Interesting.
And it's adjustable, so it can be at a really nice like almost semi-standing height, or it can be at like a lower height like this. They're pretty rad. I've tried one out at work for a little bit because we have a couple at my work because I work with hippies and they like alternative chairs.
Right.
and it's really cool. I dig it.
How long did you sit on
I'll
it
send you
for?
a picture of it.
Yeah, could you sit on it for like 6 hours? I almost feel like it's a workout chair where you're gonna like. work
No,
the
it's not
muscles,
because
like,
you can't get like to this great equilibrium. It's I could definitely sit in it all day.
Okay.
So
That's cool. I just have this like really crappy like Harbor Freight stool for like your workshop, but it's in that back corner, and I'm not bringing it over here. You can just imagine that it's a red stool, generic.
I found this chair. It's pretty comfortable. I don't know, but my big investment at the beginning of the pandemic, when I realized I was going to be working from home forever, is the electric standing desk.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
I noticed. I think it's the same.
It might be.
That's cool. I have a standing desk in my office in a similar, like I got like a Herman whatever chair for pandemic reasons as well. Like you're sitting in your chair all day. Yeah.
When I first started working, like in the early, when I was like started working as an editor in the early 2000s, and there was like, I don't know, they were getting everyone Herman Miller chairs then. So I had a number of years where my standard office chair was that nice Herman Miller, and it's supposed to have a good, good posture and everything like that. But I still managed to sit in it like this, just focus did not.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that until like the next time you have to stand up. You're like, okay, I gotta like, I guess I gotta sit up for a minute. Yeah,
but I got this little thing for the standing desk.
Oh yeah, those things.
Oh yeah.
My partner has one of those, and I stand it all the time, and I don't know that it does anything like other than.
Yeah, at first I thought it didn't, but then I stopped standing on it, and I thought, oh, it is doing something. But then I've also got this extreme one, which is a Wobble Board, which is more of a kid play thing. It's just like this curved. It's like it's more like it's a kid development.
Like skateboarding?
Yeah, only more so. It's like a total half like curved piece of wood. So if you have your, you're doing extreme movement on it if your feet are on it. And that's a real climbing workout if you ever use that. And I do that sometimes, but you can't actually do that if you have to, actually do anything on the desk. Only if you're just looking straight ahead. But that's pretty good. But anyway, that doesn't. But I feel like once I got this sort of at a standing height, I realized that really well. I saw a show. It was a concert a few months before everything shut down, and I was at a concert. It was outside, and the no, it was a different one. It was inside. But anyway, wherever it was the keyboard player was this. I was like, this guy is my new. He's my inspiration. Like just the way he, because I feel like so many times I see a keyboard player and there's like, it's like it's not. They're just like not really. They don't have great stage presence. And I was like, that's me. When I'm trying to play, and this guy was just he was old. He was probably he's older and he was playing forever. There's this guy from somewhere in Vermont, got a big beard, and he was just jamming. He was standing, he was like dancing the entire time. It was just into it, and it was like, it was like both performative, but also it was just like he was just having a great time. And I was like, that's what I want to be, And so I realized, really the standing situation was pretty important for playing. And so that's why I sort of like this setup here is it's like the right height to be able to stand, and it's nice. And also now I finally have it behind this other desk, so I can have, I haven't done anything on both desks, but it's like this sort of surround situation where, for like years ago, I was really into yurts. I just had this fascination with yurts, and like my dream would be to have like a series of yurts. And so like you have your living yurt, you have your library yurt, maybe, and then there would be
studio yurt,
the music yurt, because that's like the electronic music studio. My electronic music studio at my college, it was like my college did not care about electronic music at all. And we just had this one guy from the teacher. He was my class was the last year before he retired, and he was sort of big in the early days of tape music in the '60s, and he had this synclavier, which was just totally outdated, and no one knew how to run except for him. And but that was like our room was like that. The music studio was this sort of elevated central platform with the synclavier, keyboard, and some computer for doing Fourier transform, like audio analysis. So you could like analyze something and then just manually type in the tones. You mouse over to this point and say, so you type in however many frequencies. So you're basically making your own grains. Just very labor intensive. It wasn't for music at all. And there's like a tape recorder and something else. And then down below was this area where you could have instruments if you wanted. We didn't, but you could. And some nice speakers, and like that was the dream. So like that sort of situation would be ideal for me, where you'd have like a round room with sort of a elevated central console where you have your keyboard and recording stuff, and maybe the synth and everything would be there. And then you have the lower space which you can look down on, and that's where you have mics set up and a piano or organ or whatever. That would be amazing. That'd be
cool.
That sounds really cool.
That's the dream of any sort of, if you could do anything at all, that'd be awesome.
It'd be fun to play sitting down. I haven't done that in a while, but this is a kitchen counter.
Yep.
It doesn't go lower, and the chair I found for it is currently, let's see the other way, my cable rack. But also like this is a washroom. Like the floor is a cement floor that's all angled towards the drain in the center, which means no matter where I stand, the floor is at a slight angle, which gets very tiring. And also, if you're in a chair, it means like if you're in a chair facing any of the walls, it wants to rotate over to the middle every time. So like it's not ideal for that. Like I tried leveling and things like that, but ultimately I was like, screw it, I'll just like buy a mat and stand all the time. But like I've grown to really like it, so highly recommend standing sometimes.
Yeah.
I worked in an office in New York City, which was in an old warehouse building where the floors were all sloped out towards the outside walls, so you could just hose it down.
Abattoir?
Sorry?
Abattoir?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But yeah, there was a room which had the board table, and everyone would sit there, and it was funny because everyone would sit down at the board table. This is when it was new and they hadn't figured out this problem yet. Everyone would sit down, and then everyone sort of like rolling away from the table.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. I mean that's why I don't have. That's why you never see me sitting.
Right.
Like I could sit in the corner, but like I think you might be able to see it. That's the dark corner, and that's about as light as it gets over there. There's no lights. It's literally I have to like suck in my belly and crawl behind my synthesizer and go back there. So, yeah.
Do one patch from there and just see how it goes. It'd just be a dark, moody ambient thing, maybe.
Well, the problem there is that like I would have to. I don't know what I would do for. Like maybe I could like jack the sequencing from the pyramid through Ableton or something like, but basically I would only be able to play the piano live versus sequencing. So, because it's just it's the Arturia Keylab 88 or whatever. When they came out with the new one, those got really cheap on Reverb, so I got one. And I actually kind of hate it. Like beautiful key bed. Super enjoyable to play, like in terms of like the feel. The worst UI, the worst software, like it's terrible. Like the way it's got the MIDI set up is way too complex. It's like definitely made by developers for developers. And like I'm a developer and I hate it. So like, just give me like the key step's perfect level of intelligence for what I want for this stuff. Like just let me quickly select MIDI channels and stuff like that. Can't do that on the other thing. All right.
And the one thing that's cool about that is, you can do MIDI and have the sequence running while you play something on top of that.
Yes.
And for me, that was kind of perfect. I got the MIDI to CV, and then I can control two voices with a key step.
Yep. And the key step I can't praise enough. I mean, I'm sure the Pro is ridiculously cool as well from what I've seen, but like it's an amazing sequencer. Like the Pro just seems like the Beat Step Pro and the Key Step had a like very amazing child. So if I'm that's pretty much the only controller I would recommend at this point. If they made a large key step that was 88 keys, I would buy that instead and replace that thing in a heartbeat. Yeah. But I mean, my ideal studio, like I'm considering like a shed in the yard or something like that. So
You're
yeah, that's why I was laughing at the yurt, because that was a conversation as well. But I think I actually have like enough random plywood and stuff in the shed to maybe build something. We'll see. That's not going to happen this winter.
I live in Oregon, so of course I have 2 friends that live in yurts.
nice.
I mean, I just hung out with my friend who lives in a yurt in Hawaii, which is pretty.
Oh, that's also acceptable. Yeah.
Pretty boss, yeah. And he was telling, like, he's told me all about this thing. Like, it's super eco-friendly, but he gave me the dirty details a couple weeks ago. He's like, oh yeah, we recycle all the water and everything and solar and all that stuff, but like it's because it's like $80,000 to get on the grid in Hawaii because there's only one electric provider, like, and it's volcanic rock. Like, they're not gonna give you a discount. So I was like, okay, so I guess a lot of people are electric. He's like, yeah, off grid everywhere. But yeah, you're in Hawaii, not a bad place. That's my dream studio, actually. No, maybe not in Hawaii, maybe just in my backyard. But yeah, so that'd be. I think it'd be cool. Like, I really want a drum set. But there are requirements to having a drum set. One of those is like some room that has some noise dampening. Otherwise, you're looking at like the electric drum sets or putting dampeners on there and things like that. And
my neighbor he's actually a professional musician, next door neighbor, in a band, and he plays drums and he tours and all that. And when he's at home, he does a lot of mixing. And I'm working in sort of this garage room, which is, my wall here where my monitors are right against the wall is the other side of it, a couple of feet away is his yard where his studio is. And every time we see each other, it's like, let me know if I'm too loud, but like something is really well soundproofed, because I've never heard him, and he says he never hears me. And like I'm, sometimes editing like loud car chases and things like, it's just loud.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I get carried away with the droning and whatever. So, that's all great. But then we have a third neighbor who just moved in, who's not a professional musician, but has a drum kit, and the room is not soundproofed. And I can hear that, but he's working on soundproofing it. So
okay, that could be many different things, and
yeah,
I can say from both experience and lots of anecdotes that like the foam you put on your walls isn't going to cut it. Yeah. So yeah. I mean that's another thing I considered also, is like sacrificing a piece of the garage. Like, I'd basically have to park my car outside, but in the winter here, it snows a lot, so
yep,
that would be potentially a very difficult sacrifice. And it'd be really dusty too. Like, there's a shit ton of like random dust and stuff because it's not a finished garage or anything.
Well, I mean, the exploding water heater is a concern, but other than that, I personally love the aesthetic of the pipes and the dryer and all that.
Yeah, that's actually the thing I'm going to miss the most if I do move. So that would be something I'd work into the next place.
You'll just have to get some faux duct work.
Yeah,
I would just say just put them some pipes, like they don't have to be connected to
Sure,
exactly, right. Put up some water pipes over it.
Put a speaker at the end of one and a mic at the other end of another, and do a little.
Yes, that's my pipe reverb up there. It can be fun, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, that's been on my mind too, because like every once in a while, especially in the spring or fall, when that first freeze hits, I'm like, are you gonna explode?
It probably won't.
It probably won't unless the power goes out for long enough. Which was a problem. Like, there was the fires last year at this time of year where we had to evacuate, but like the people in the just 15 minutes away. They had to actually shut off all of the power to the town because the fire was like just about hitting it.
Sure.
And like down power lines are a thing. And the biggest problem was that all of their shit froze and exploded over all their stuff. Like if their house didn't burn down, their basement was flooded, kind of a thing.
Oh.
Now here's a question: if if you have an analog synth and it just gets wet, but the power's off and then it dries out, is that okay? I mean, I guess there are some things which are probably get damaged, a capacitor, I don't know, but
yeah. So I think all of my gear would be fine. They would just rust a little bit here and there.
Oh, right, rusting. But I mean, like, as long as nothing shorts, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, the power would probably be off. It's just more. I mean, as long as it's off, it's fine.
Yeah.
The wood would all warp, but like I can make another case. That's fine.
Or it's just more awesome.
And also I think the biggest danger is like if something if the water explodes, it'll probably knock. Like this isn't the most stable setup because it is like 20 centimeters deep. So if that falls over, that's probably going to break some stuff. But
yep.
That's not really a priceless thing either because I could replicate most of the things on there or fix them or make my own panels. So yeah, so that's also crossed my mind. I also become weirdly attached to my version of Wilson from Castaway, like my washing machine with the face, like
yeah.
Yeah. So
I still think you should put like a red orb in there and make it a howl sort of thing.
I know, and I actually don't have anything I could do. Well, I might have a headlamp that could do that. I should try that. Heck yeah, for sure. I also have been keeping my eye out for a strobe light because I think a strobe light in there and some like dry ice on Halloween could be rad. Because right next to it, there is a sink.
Nice.
Halloween? Is Halloween a Sunday?
Yes.
Holy shit. All right.
My buddy cleans his post-soldered boards in a sonic water cleaner. Yeah, so I think water's not too bad. But I think in sonic water cleaners, aren't you using distilled water? I don't know if that makes a difference or not. I know nothing. I'm
trying to think of
my
some
boards at all, but yeah.
Trying to think of some sink and sink joke.
My oscillator sink. I mean,
yeah.
that is a joke that I have come up with many times, but like I can't justify like leaving a sink on as a sound source. Like,
right. Oh my!
Like we're in a drought.
Yeah. My bathtub made some amazing. I don't know. Something stopped leaking quite the same way, but there was a little while where I turned the bathtub off, and for about 5 or 10 minutes, it dripped it was a great polyrhythm going on, and I always wanted to record that and then use that as a clock, but it stopped doing that. It works well now, so.
I find myself thinking about that a lot, and I actually got this field mic, and I keep forgetting to put it like in my backpack because I almost never go anywhere. It's just the H1N, which was actually my mixer for a long time. Yep. So, yeah.
So what you should do with that field mic is make yourself take one of those piezos.
Yeah.
And this is what I did. I dipped mine in like some plumbing Plastidip type stuff.
Yeah. Like rubberize it if some like waterproof.
Yeah.
And then so I took my little recorder, went hiking, found some rivers, threw it in there. So you get some pretty interesting sounds.
Yeah, and I've recorded some cool stuff. I even got some like cows on a highway, like cows and cowboys. There was a cattle drive.
Nice.
That stopped in town. So like, I was just like, all right, turn the car off. Cow sounds going right by. It's sick. Like, great. I got all sorts of random sounds on that, and now like, seeing your built case, Tim, one of the reasons I've been like lusting over maybe building my own case specifically for Eurorack is to like get something like the Morphogene again, because that just while I don't use it that often, it does some really magical things to all sorts of crazy sounds.
Yeah, I'd like to do. I haven't done a lot with field recordings yet, but I am definitely planning on using the Disting for playback, because it's something where like the Disting, I don't love using it a lot of the time. I don't, because it's like a little too not hands tangible for me, but that seems like but it's great, it's like I love having it. And that, I've only used, I know that Woke, you used that for we were talking about that once for playback.
Yeah, I love Wave with Scrub.
Yeah, and it's like, and I've only done that once, just a clip that I just wanted to process through a bunch of analog path, and that seemed like the simplest way to do it. And so I did that and just messed around a little bit, and it seemed great. So I was like, this is something which I could really get on board with using it all the time for that, but I haven't yet. This morning, actually related, this morning I finished listening to the latest Podular Modcast. No, it's not the latest. It was last week's, maybe. Anyway, Christopher Flieger. He's a location, or he does a lot of field recordings, like extensive field recordings, and that's I would recommend listening to that if you're at all into.
Isn't that the next Modular World? Like, he's got like that a series that he just started with kind of like directed patches. Like I think he did a techno one. I think the next one's field recording.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which is in a week or two or something like that. I don't remember.
Right.
It's coming up.
I'll have to check that out. Like one of the things that still makes me not want to do anything with samples is I don't want to spend any time ahead of time like editing the samples or like converting them to a format. Like
that is the least
I'm okay like dropping them on an SD card or whatever the thing is to get it on the machine, right? That's fine. But what I want is like a website I can go to where I could be like, all right, I'll pick my device, I drag 20 samples on it.
There is. I mean,
pops them out.
I don't remember that site, but it's where I got all of my. I don't have a Morphogene, but I have a great collection of Morphogene reels.
Yeah.
And I use them in the Disting, just like with that scrub algorithm. And it's out there. I don't remember what it's called, but.
Because like I want that plus like a normalized setting would be the only other thing. Like bring the levels into
the Audacity Audacity bulk processing is your friend for that. Just drop.
Yeah, and I've worked with Audacity and it's fine. It definitely feels like work to set up. I've done some with Audacity as well. I don't know.
You're gonna have to do a little bit of work.
Samples are just work.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd like to do more with them, just because I feel like that's something I love. I don't know. I just like messing with those things, but on the other hand, I feel like when I patch, I also like the sort of the idea of making this an instrument where everything is self-contained. There's nothing, there are no sounds beforehand, and I'm happy like recording stuff, playing it back, manipulating it all, but I like originating it then at the moment. Sure. So that's just my own personal sort of goals with the instrument.
I mean, I'm with you there. Like the reason I love the Rample so much is because it came with like the most stacked sample packs ever, like all on this card. Like that alone is probably worth the price, but I would pay money just for like more of their like slammed full of cool stuff. SD cards. Well,
it's fun every day at work. Since I work editing, I have access to just great sound libraries, and if there's anything I need, I just like ask someone and they can find it. But I was just working with, I was just thinking about this morning actually, just working with the Hanna-Barbera sound effects library. So you can use and there's this one track that's just all of Fred Flintstone's car sounds, and it's just like
yeah, I love those ones where
it's amazing. It's so good. Yeah.
Those are great.
and what was so cool is the other day. So I was just the other day I was patching with just two modules. Basically, it was Mimeophone and the Bleep Bloop 2000. and the Blue 2000 is it's a 4 oscillator thing, and they can go slow or fast. It can be a CV source or audio oscillator. And there was this one moment where I basically, with a mimeophone, I just ramped up the the feedback, so it was just car plus strong, and then I patched the output, the single output, which is a combination of the 4 oscillators from the Bleep Loop into the volt per octave input for the I think it was the volt per octave. It was either that or the speed. I think that's what it was. For car plus strong, and suddenly it was doing that because it was sort of doing 2 octave things at the same time, and it was like it was amazing. Suddenly I was in a Warner Brothers cartoon. It was super cool.
That is rad. That is the coolest. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to talk about before we I'm good to keep going if you have more on your mind. Nope. Silence.
I don't want to drag it out any longer, but the one thing that I am looking for is a totally separate topic. We don't have to talk about it here. Is wave folders, but that's a whole different.
I would love to learn more about wave folders. That's the one thing I have one in the garage that I ordered all of. I put all completed. I'm missing one component basically, and I need to wait until I have enough to order another set from like a Mouser or whatever. So
yeah, because I just got the oscillator that's can do a nice clean sine wave or triangle, and I haven't really had just an actual oscillator that can do that. And suddenly I thought, oh well, that'd be nice. So then the question is, whether the wave folder does a lot more than just distortion or overdrive, or what for adding harmonics. Like, what's the best way to add harmonics?
Yeah, so check out Bufaco Chopping Kinky.
Yes.
That's one I used to have, and I think I sold it. That's one of the modules that I let go that I wish I never did.
Yeah.
Because it's a great wave folder, and it has some features where it'll combine the outputs. So check that one out. I think that was my one I really, really liked, where I'm probably going to get it back.
Right.
That's been on my list since I made a list. Yeah, it's a cool module, cool demos. Woke, do you have any wave folders?
Just the one. There's one in Data. You can kind of do some super basic wave folding, but no, I don't really play with it very much.
I like wave folders better than filters.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I can objectively say, without having any wave folders, that filters are better. So.
I was going to say that's controversial. Man.
I'm just kidding. That's a strong statement. So I'm definitely gonna have to finish that module. There are a few more Cosmo modules that have come out since I last built some, so maybe I'll order some of those and then do a bulk component order, assuming there's no components that are in demand.
Right.
All right, let's call it a night. This has been great. I'm glad y'all came this week.
Yeah, it's fun. I'll let you know next time I'm free on a Wednesday. It happens every once in a while.
Please do.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. Does anybody else want to play us out, or should I just get it going?
I am not patched up at all. I have 0 patch cables in there.
I have a bugle.
Like a bugle, like
play taps for us. Come on.
That's you gotta play us out.
I'm not warmed up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I gotta get you.
See,
If you
probably
can't play Child's Play Reveille, it's faster.
That sounded really good to me.
It probably has cobwebs in there.
All right. Well, in that case,
Yeah. Good.
and maybe I'll do this so that it's not like they can see you, but it's not like super. I don't know.
I gotta go grab my other beer for this.